When was the last time you thought about something as ordinary as getting up to use the bathroom at night? Probably never, because it seems so routine, so harmless. Yet this simple act, something you might do several times every night, carries hidden dangers that claim lives with shocking regularity. A 71-year-old man in Ohio went to bed one evening feeling perfectly fine. Hours later, he got up to urinate, and within minutes, he was dead. His wife found him collapsed on the bathroom floor. No previous heart problems, no warning signs, just a routine trip to the bathroom that ended his life. This isn't a rare occurrence. Emergency rooms across the country see cases like this regularly, older adults who suffer fatal cardiac events during or immediately after nighttime bathroom trips. What makes these deaths particularly tragic is that they're often preventable. The danger doesn't come from some mysterious disease or unavoidable condition. It comes from a combination of normal physiological changes that happen when you stand up at night, changes that become dangerous after 60 because your body's ability to compensate and protect itself has declined. Today, we're going to explore exactly what happens inside your body during those nighttime bathroom trips and why these moments carry such serious risk. More importantly, you'll learn specific, practical steps to protect yourself. These aren't complicated medical interventions. They're simple habits and awareness that can save your life or the life of someone you love. By the end of our conversation, you'll understand why rushing to the bathroom at 2 in the morning isn't just inconvenient, it's potentially lethal, and you'll know exactly what to do differently. The first danger that makes nighttime bathroom trips so risky involves what happens to your blood pressure when you stand up, and this is the factor that causes the most deaths. When you're lying in bed asleep, your blood pressure naturally drops, your heart rate slows, your blood vessels relax. This is normal and healthy. Your cardiovascular system is resting and repairing itself. Blood distributes relatively evenly throughout your body because you're horizontal. But the moment you sit up, and especially when you stand up, gravity immediately pulls blood downward toward your legs and away from your brain. In a young, healthy person, the body compensates for this almost instantly. Blood vessels in your legs constrict to push blood back up. Your heart rate increases slightly. Your blood pressure adjusts. The whole process takes maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and you never notice it happening. But after 60, this compensation system becomes slower and less efficient. Your blood vessels lose elasticity with age. They don't constrict as quickly or as strongly. Your nervous system, which coordinates these adjustments, responds more slowly. Your heart, even if it's healthy, doesn't accelerate as rapidly as it once did. This means that when you stand up, especially if you stand up quickly, there's a lag time of several seconds or even longer before your blood pressure stabilizes. During that lag, your brain isn't getting adequate blood flow and oxygen. This condition is called orthostatic hypotension, which simply means low blood pressure upon standing. The symptoms can range from mild dizziness to complete loss of consciousness. But here's the critical danger. Even if you don't fully pass out, that period of reduced blood flow to your brain can trigger a cardiac event. Your heart, suddenly working harder to pump blood upward against gravity while simultaneously dealing with reduced oxygen delivery, can develop dangerous rhythm disturbances. For someone with underlying heart disease, even if they don't know they have it, this stress can be enough to cause a heart attack or fatal arrhythmia. The man from Ohio likely experienced exactly this. He stood up too quickly. His blood pressure dropped sharply. His brain and heart didn't get adequate oxygen during those critical seconds. His heart responded with an irregular rhythm that quickly became fatal. He probably felt dizzy or lightheaded for just a moment before collapsing. The entire event might have taken less than 30 seconds from standing up to cardiac arrest. What makes this particularly insidious is that many people experience mild versions of this regularly without recognizing the danger. You might feel briefly dizzy when you stand up at night. Maybe you see spots, or your vision goes dark for a second. Perhaps you feel unsteady and grab onto something for balance. These are warning signs that your body is struggling to maintain adequate blood pressure during position changes. Most of the time, your body manages to compensate before anything serious happens. But each episode is a near miss. Eventually, the circumstances align just wrong enough. You're more dehydrated than usual, your medication timing is slightly different, you stand up just a bit faster, and instead of recovering, you collapse. The practical steps to protect yourself from this first danger are straightforward, but require conscious implementation every single time you get up at night. First, when you wake needing the bathroom, don't immediately sit up. Take a few seconds to wake fully. Move your arms and legs slightly while still lying down. This begins activating your cardiovascular system before you change position. Second, sit up slowly, and then sit on the edge of your bed for at least 20 to 30 seconds before standing. This is absolutely critical. During those 30 seconds, move your ankles up and down and rotate them in circles. This muscular action helps pump blood from your legs back toward your heart. Take several slow, deep breaths, which also helps activate your cardiovascular system. Third, when you do stand up, do it slowly and deliberately. Keep one hand on the bed or nightstand for stability. Stand still for another 10 to 15 seconds before you start walking. If you feel any dizziness, sit back down immediately and wait longer. These steps might seem excessive or time-consuming when you're half asleep and your bladder is full, but they take less than a minute total, and that minute could save your life. You're giving your cardiovascular system time to adjust to the position change gradually rather than forcing it to respond instantly to a sudden shift. Think of it like warming up before exercise. You wouldn't sprint immediately after getting out of bed in the morning. The same principle applies to standing up at night. You need to let your body adjust before demanding full function. There's also a medication consideration here. Many common medications affect blood pressure and make orthostatic hypotension worse. Blood pressure medications, obviously, but also diuretics, some antidepressants, medications for Parkinson's disease, and even some pain medications. If you're on any regular medications, ask your doctor specifically whether they increase your risk of blood pressure drops when standing. Sometimes adjusting the timing of when you take certain medications can help. For instance, taking a diuretic in the morning rather than evening means you're less likely to be dehydrated at night when you get up. The second major danger during nighttime bathroom trips involves what happens during urination itself, specifically how the act of urinating affects your heart rhythm. This risk surprises most people because they've never heard of it. But it's well documented in medical literature and causes a significant number of cardiac events, particularly in older men. When you urinate, especially when your bladder is very full, the act of emptying it triggers something called the Micturition reflex. This reflex involves the vagus nerve, a major nerve that connects your brain to your heart and other organs. The vagus nerve, when stimulated, causes your heart rate to slow down and your blood vessels to dilate or expand. In normal circumstances, this is a mild, harmless effect. But in older adults, especially those with heart conditions or autonomic nervous system dysfunction, the vagal response during urination can be excessive. What happens is this: you're standing there, urinating, your bladder is emptying, the vagus nerve gets strongly stimulated, your heart rate suddenly drops, and your blood pressure falls. If the effect is strong enough, you can lose consciousness right there at the toilet. This is called Micturition syncope, and it's more common than most people realize. But even if you don't fully pass out, the sudden heart rate slowing and blood pressure drop can trigger dangerous heart rhythm abnormalities, especially if your heart is already stressed from the position change of standing up. For men, there's an additional factor. Many older men have enlarged prostates, which makes urination more effortful. You might strain or push to empty your bladder completely. This straining creates pressure changes in your chest and abdomen that affect blood flow back to your heart. It's similar to the strain of lifting something heavy, which is why doctors tell heart patients not to lift heavy objects. That same cardiovascular stress happens when you strain to urinate, and combined with the vagal reflex, it creates a dangerous situation. Harold, 74, experienced this firsthand and fortunately lived to tell about it. Harold got up one night to urinate, stood at the toilet, and about halfway through, urinating felt suddenly dizzy and weak. He had just enough awareness to sit down on the closed toilet lid before he lost consciousness completely. He came to about 30 seconds later, confused and sweaty. His wife insisted they go to the emergency room. The doctors determined Harold had experienced a vasovagal episode triggered by urination. His heart rate had dropped to 30 beats per minute, less than half its normal rate. They kept him overnight for monitoring and made medication adjustments. Harold was lucky. If he'd been standing over the toilet or walking back to bed when he lost consciousness, he could have fallen, hit his head, or worse, the cardiac rhythm disturbance could have progressed to something fatal. Protecting yourself from this second danger requires several strategies. First, if you feel at all dizzy or lightheaded while urinating, sit down immediately. For men, this might mean sitting to urinate at night rather than standing, which many older men resist, but which significantly reduces risk. There's no shame or loss of masculinity in sitting. It's a smart safety adaptation to changing physiology. Second, avoid holding your urine for long periods before getting up. The fuller your bladder, the stronger the vagal reflex when you finally empty it. If you're waking multiple times at night anyway, don't try to hold it and go back to sleep. Get up when you first feel the need. Third, take your time during urination. Don't strain or push. If you're having difficulty emptying your bladder, if you're straining regularly or feeling like you're not emptying completely, talk to your doctor about possible prostate issues or other causes that need treatment. And fourth, after urinating, don't rush back to bed. Stand or sit still for a moment and make sure you feel steady before walking. The third danger involves the combination of cold exposure and dehydration, both of which are common during nighttime bathroom trips and both of which place significant stress on your heart. Let's talk about cold first. Most people keep their bedrooms cooler at night for better sleep, which is generally healthy. But when you get out from under warm covers and your feet hit a cold floor, your body experiences what's called cold shock. Cold temperatures cause your blood vessels to constrict rapidly. This constriction happens as a protective mechanism to preserve core body heat. But it has the immediate effect of raising your blood pressure and increasing your heart's workload. For a healthy young heart, this isn't problematic. But for an older heart, especially one with any degree of coronary artery disease, the sudden increase in cardiac workload combined with vasoconstriction can reduce blood flow to the heart muscle itself. This can trigger angina, chest pain from inadequate blood supply to the heart, or even a heart attack. The cold exposure doesn't have to be extreme. Even the difference between a warm bed and a 65-degree room with a cold tile or hardwood floor can be enough to cause significant cardiovascular stress. Dehydration compounds this problem dramatically. Many older adults are mildly dehydrated most of the time without realizing it. Thirst sensation decreases with age, so you don't feel as thirsty even when your body needs fluids. Many people intentionally limit evening fluid intake to reduce nighttime bathroom trips. Some medications, particularly diuretics and blood pressure medications, increase fluid loss. The result is that by the middle of the night, many seniors are significantly dehydrated. Dehydration makes your blood thicker and more prone to clotting. It reduces blood volume, which means your heart has to work harder to circulate what blood you have. It makes your blood vessels less responsive and flexible. All of these factors increase cardiac stress. When you combine dehydration with the cold-induced vasoconstriction and blood pressure spike, you're creating a perfect storm for cardiac events. William, 78, learned this combination nearly killed him. William got up one February night to use the bathroom. His bedroom was cool, around 62 degrees, and the bathroom had tile floors. William was taking a diuretic for blood pressure and had intentionally drunk very little after dinner. He got out of bed, his feet hit the cold floor, and he felt his heart suddenly racing and beating irregularly. He made it to the bathroom but felt intense chest pressure and broke out in a cold sweat. His wife called an ambulance. At the hospital, they found William was significantly dehydrated and had developed atrial fibrillation, an irregular heart rhythm triggered by the combination of cold exposure and thick, sluggish blood from dehydration. They had to cardiovert his heart, essentially shock it back into normal rhythm. The cardiologist explained that the cold floor and dehydration had combined to create conditions that precipitated the arrhythmia. Protecting yourself from this third danger requires attention to both temperature and hydration. For temperature, keep your bedroom at a moderate temperature, not too cold. If you prefer sleeping in a cool room, keep slippers or socks right next to your bed and put them on before standing up. Never walk on cold floors barefoot at night. You can also keep a robe within reach to put on before getting up. These simple steps prevent the shock of sudden cold exposure. For bathrooms with tile floors, consider putting down bathroom rugs or mats that provide insulation from the cold surface. For hydration, the strategy is more nuanced. You don't want to drink large amounts right before bed because that will increase nighttime urination. But you also don't want to be dehydrated. The solution is to maintain good hydration throughout the day and early evening, then taper fluid intake in the last 2 to 3 hours before bed. Keep a small glass or bottle of water on your nightstand. If you wake to use the bathroom, take a few small sips of water before getting up and a few more when you return to bed. This keeps you from becoming progressively more dehydrated through the night without overloading your bladder. Also, talk to your doctor about your medications. If you're on a diuretic, ask about the best timing. Taking it in the morning rather than evening means most of the diuretic effect happens during the day when you're awake and moving, reducing nighttime dehydration and bathroom trips. Some people need diuretics twice daily, but even then, timing the doses to minimize nighttime effects while maintaining therapeutic benefit is worth discussing. The fourth and final danger is more subtle but equally important. It involves the stress that sudden awakening and the urgency of needing to urinate place on your entire system, particularly your heart. When you're deeply asleep, your body is in its most relaxed state. Your nervous system is in parasympathetic mode, rest and digest. Your heart rate is slow. Your blood pressure is low. Your body is focused on repair and restoration. When something wakes you suddenly, especially if it's an urgent need to urinate where your bladder is uncomfortably full, your body shifts rapidly from parasympathetic to sympathetic mode, fight or flight. Stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, surge into your bloodstream, your heart rate and blood pressure spike. Your entire cardiovascular system goes from its most relaxed state to a highly activated state in seconds. For older hearts, this sudden demand can be dangerous. Think about it this way. If you were sitting in a chair and someone suddenly yelled and startled you, you'd feel your heart jump and race. That's the adrenaline response. Now imagine your heart is 70 or 80 years old, possibly with some degree of arterial blockage or electrical conduction problems you might not even know about. That sudden jolt of adrenaline and the rapid increase in cardiac workload it creates can trigger rhythm disturbances or reduce blood flow to portions of the heart muscle that are already marginally supplied. There's also a psychological component. Many older adults feel anxious or frustrated about nighttime urination. They worry about it during the day. When they wake, needing to urinate, they feel stressed about it. This anxiety further elevates stress hormones and heart rate. Some people, embarrassed by frequent nighttime urination or worried about disturbing a sleeping partner, rush to the bathroom quickly. This rushing compounds all the other risk factors we've discussed. You're standing up too fast. You're walking quickly while still half asleep and potentially unsteady. You're straining to urinate quickly to get back to bed. And your heart is racing from the combination of urgency, anxiety, and adrenaline. George, 72, experienced this cascade of stress factors. George woke with urgent need to urinate, felt frustrated and anxious because it was the third time that night, jumped out of bed quickly so as not to fully wake his wife, rushed to the bathroom, and while urinating felt his heart racing irregularly and developed chest tightness. He became frightened, which released even more adrenaline, making the symptoms worse. By the time he made it back to bed, he was sweating and his chest pain was intense. His wife woke up, saw his distress, and called for an ambulance. George hadn't had a full heart attack, but he'd come dangerously close. The cardiologist explained that the combination of sudden awakening, rushed movement, and anxiety had put enormous stress on George's heart. Protecting yourself from this fourth danger starts with changing your mindset about nighttime urination. Accept it as normal and nothing to be anxious or frustrated about. Most people over 60 urinate at least once or twice per night. This is your body's normal function, not a failure or problem. When you wake needing to urinate, take a moment to breathe slowly and deeply before moving. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system and helps counter the adrenaline surge. Tell yourself there's no rush. A few extra seconds or even a minute of moving slowly and carefully is time well spent for safety. Use soft lighting rather than bright overhead lights, which can be jarring and increase the stress response. A small nightlight in the bedroom and bathroom provides enough illumination to see safely without creating a startling bright light exposure. If you share a bed and worry about disturbing your partner, communicate about this. Most partners would much rather be slightly disturbed than risk you having a cardiac event from rushing. Often they're not as disturbed by your movements as you imagine anyway. Consider keeping a bedside urinal or commode if you have significant mobility issues or if the bathroom is far from your bedroom. There's no shame in this. It's a practical safety adaptation that eliminates the risks of walking while half asleep and rushing. Many medical supply stores and online retailers offer discreet, easy-to-use options for both men and women. Also address underlying issues that might be causing excessive nighttime urination. Sleep apnea, heart failure, diabetes, and prostate problems can all increase nighttime urine production or bladder urgency. These are treatable conditions. Don't just accept frequent nighttime urination as inevitable. Talk to your doctor about possible causes and solutions. Sometimes relatively simple interventions, adjusting medication timing, treating sleep apnea, or addressing prostate enlargement, can significantly reduce nighttime bathroom trips and therefore reduce your risk exposure. Now, I want you to understand how these four dangers interact and compound each other, because that's when the risk becomes truly serious. Imagine this scenario. You're mildly dehydrated because you've been taking a diuretic and limiting evening fluids. You wake suddenly at 2 in the morning with urgent need to urinate, which triggers an adrenaline surge. You sit up quickly without pausing, causing your blood pressure to drop. You stand up and walk rapidly to the bathroom on cold floors, which causes vasoconstriction and blood pressure spike even as you're still recovering from the initial drop. You urinate forcefully, straining slightly because of prostate issues, which triggers a strong vagal response, slowing your heart rate. Your heart is now dealing with rapid rate changes, blood pressure fluctuations, dehydration, cold-induced vasoconstriction, and adrenaline, all simultaneously. For an older heart with limited reserve capacity, this combination can be overwhelming. This is why these nighttime cardiac events happen to people who seemed perfectly healthy. It's not that they had severely diseased hearts necessarily. It's that the combination of multiple stressors happening at once exceeded what their cardiovascular system could handle in that moment. And tragically, these deaths are so often preventable because each of the stressors can be minimized or eliminated through simple awareness and behavioral changes. Here's what I want you to do starting tonight. First, prepare your environment for safe nighttime bathroom trips. Put non-slip rugs on any hard floors between your bed and bathroom. Install nightlights providing soft illumination. Keep slippers or socks within easy reach of your bed. Make sure you have something stable to hold on to, a nightstand, dresser, or wall rail, as you stand up and begin walking. Keep a small amount of water on your nightstand. Second, create a ritual for getting up at night. When you wake, lie still for a few seconds, breathing slowly. Sit up slowly and sit on the bed edge for 30 seconds, moving your ankles and breathing deeply. Stand slowly while holding something stable. Stand still for 10 seconds before walking. Walk at a normal, unhurried pace. Take your time urinating without straining. Stand or sit still after urinating before walking back. Return to bed slowly. Lie down gently and take a few slow breaths before trying to go back to sleep. This ritual takes maybe 90 seconds total. 90 seconds that could save your life. Third, optimize your hydration and medication timing by talking with your doctor. Make sure you're drinking adequate fluids during the day. Discuss whether your medication schedule could be adjusted to reduce nighttime risks. Ask specifically about medications that affect blood pressure, heart rate, or urination. Fourth, address any symptoms you've been ignoring. If you feel dizzy when standing, if your heart races or beats irregularly at night, if you have chest discomfort, if you're urinating much more frequently than you used to, these are not things to dismiss as just part of aging. They're warning signs that deserve medical evaluation. And finally, share this information with family members. If you live alone, consider a medical alert system that can detect falls or allow you to call for help if needed. If you live with someone, make sure they know these risks and understand that if they find you confused, dizzy, or complaining of chest discomfort after a bathroom trip, they should not wait to see if you improve. Call for emergency help immediately. The man who died in Ohio, the 71-year-old whose story opened our conversation, didn't have to die. If he'd known these risks, if he'd practiced even a few of these protective behaviors, he'd likely still be alive. His death was a tragedy, but it doesn't have to be meaningless. Learn from it. Let his story motivate you to take these simple precautions seriously. Getting older requires adapting to your body's changing capabilities. That's not weakness or defeat. It's wisdom and self-care. You adapt how you exercise to protect aging joints. You adapt your diet to support changing metabolism. You take medications to support organs that need help. Adapting how you get up at night to protect your cardiovascular system is exactly the same kind of intelligent adjustment to changing physiology. Every night when you wake needing the bathroom, you have a choice. You can move through that moment with awareness and caution, giving your body time to adjust and protecting your heart from unnecessary stress. Or you can do what you've always done, moving quickly without thought, assuming everything will be fine. Most of the time, it probably will be fine. But eventually, if you keep taking that risk, the circumstances will align badly. And what should be a routine moment becomes a fatal event. You deserve to live safely in your own body. You deserve to wake up each morning. And you absolutely have the power to protect yourself through simple, practical habits that honor your body's changing needs. Start tonight. Every safe bathroom trip is a victory. String enough of those victories together, and you've added years to your life while maintaining the quality and independence that make those years worth living.